Hello, welcome to the fourth week of the ShadowDark Drawtober, starting with this day 22, Crypt. The month was a joyous experience. Putting all these different drawings together, day in, day out, was a testament of discipline. Connecting each of the different frames with a prompt was fun. This one in particular, I kept erasing and redrawing, trying to get the perspective right. I love looking back upon these recordings as just a testament and an example of how, just chipping away at it makes something marvelous. And getting the perspective right helps the experience overall. So I've really appreciated trying my best without trying too hard. Each of these probably came out to be about 15 to maybe 30 minutes at the most, but maybe more around 17, 18, 20 minute mark. And the crypt here was one of the longer ones just because of the trial and error. I love getting to the pen portion of it all and trying to figure out how to draw in, key in, cut in each of the perspectives and kind of getting a second chance at the pencil effort, not being held to it and trying to correct as I go. Toyed with a lot of detail work, little lines for bricks and dots for sand and, sketches for shadows and whatnot, and really just drawing different paths and avenues to force myself to connect them in the end. Good penciling here. I get an eraser a couple days in that helped it all out since I wore a lot of the pencil erasers down. In this crypt, just big tomb in the middle and these little entryways here and building up those big marble stairways and coloring it in the end. My gray 4 there was cool gray 4 was one of my pivotal colors, and I tend to color in the central focal point, maybe even the prompt as well. And I always put in some last little details at the end too. Okay, day 23, Magic Missile. Went into this one deciding to draw the Magic Missile casting, completing these bars that I drew from, the week prior. Trying to keep in mind my intention, but also having the ability to change it as needed. I wanted to put in a magic missile that was already in motion, knowing that I'd have the fun of figuring out where it came from down the line without really looking at much of the prompts as well too. So that was a fun little, setup and payoff. Drew a bunch of little things inside these alcoves here, and we had running with a lot of eye motifs here, single eye motifs. So there was like a wand down in this little alcove here, just a random treasure, random placement within this overall, I guess, dungeon, crypt, temple area that we started to get ourselves into here. And sort of like a portcullis here with a metal spiked bars coming down as a doorway leading into that upper chamber there. Clearing up a lot of the pencil marks here to give myself a better idea of how things look as far as layout and proportion and texture and details. Sometimes the pencil markings that are still there can be distracting. I always end up putting up just a little bit more details, a little shadow underneath the objects, a little dark spots underneath some objects. Okay, day 24, Key. So I don't know if I lazied out or whatever, but I pretty much drew the exact same room. I figured there would be this repeating alcove, and each of the things could have different elements to them, and this one was a key. And I had this doorway coming down, at least the intention of having a doorway from the stairway up off frame. You can't really see it, but in a previous drawing I drew a stairway down, intending it to sort of connect here, and since this door was key, I decided to not make it an open door but have it be this like locked door or a doorway that seemed like maybe the key fits in this doorway or not. You know, perhaps it's a trap or misleading. Hey, there's the eraser. Get this big chunky pink eraser to help out erasing all the pencil marks. So it was nice bringing the dungeon to life, one cell at a time, one block at a time. And I really probably held too strong to the actual dimensions of the square itself, but it was nice having a guide. And so it was just a simple room, and the magic missile continues being cast from someplace. And what luck, day 25, Brain Eater. And since this one is at the end of the map here, I cheat and take up 1.5 cells here, making this end portion, this little like monastery or chapel, or this central focal point. And this Brain Eater here, I guess, sort of non-copyright elithid monster, which I had the joy of making tentacles, and it's like sort of a simple robed figure and big fat goofy hands. And I just continuing with the item icon motif, I just had this big giant gem, this rupee looking thing here on top of the pedestals. Pedestals seem to be scattered throughout as well too, and drawing the very similar alcove as well too. I guess I wanted it's like mirrored or repeated. Kind of drew this guy's head a little too high up to the frame of it all, but I really loved how this creature turned out with his tentacles flailing in the air and his robes flowing. And just another object of interest, object of power on a pedestal, this magic rupee. And this end here felt like it was like a bumped out, glass stained sort of window here, or some overlooking bay window over the dark expanse in the distance. And he's the one that's casting the magic missile, which I had the joy of connecting over 3 days and having spread out across. Oh, I picked the wrong color there, and whoops. Irked by that. And filling it out the dark expanse, which will really help later in the post-production, bringing up a lot of the contrast and a lot of the darks. Sketched in a little shadow here with the pen, and some magic sparkles, and a little bit of evil eye. Brain Eater. 26 wand. We're on the other end of the drawing now, on the other border, and I just didn't want to continue the edge of the map, so I had an idea of putting an island out in this sea expanse. I also didn't want to just keep drawing the ocean with its jagged rocks and stuff, so I put this little island, kind of inspired by one of the Arcane Library Adventures, Island of the Executioner, I think it is, and just having these runes out there from some forgotten establishment, and within these ruins lies a simple gnarled twisted wand. Just having fun with the brick motif and kind of keeping the little island edges motif like similar to the mainland. Just having just a big jagged piece of rock as a place of interest. You can see that aggressive erasing moves the board down every time I use that big pink eraser. This is one of the first times I color in the stone with the colored marker as well too. Having the roaring sea splashing up against the crags of the rock. So cool gray 4 there. Here we go. I think I used 2 different types of gray. Cool gray 3, cool gray 4. I think the other one's warm gray, 4 for the wand. And then I think a 6 or a 9 for the water there to match the other rough waters, rough seas. And there we go. We have our own little island with our little pedestal out here holding a wand. Okay, day 27, 2d6. This coming into the side of the island again, the mainland here. 3d6. You know, roll for stats. I kind of went with the literal on this one and drew 3 6-sided dice. But the twist is that it's like embedded underground here at a cave on the side of the mainland, and within it is this 3d6 kind of statue-ish, this collection of rocks here, and this would actually turn into, for the rest of the week, be the subterranean aspect to the main continent. I kept drawing, I didn't draw it in this first one, but on the next one, you know, like interconnected passageways between all the rock areas. So yeah, my hair is blocking the shot, and I think even during this erasing coming down, I don't realize it's not in the shot, so it gets kind of sloppy here. But you can see the effort and focus on making the art. I'll correct it in a little bit, but drawing just this underground passage cut into the side of the bluff there, so you can only access it if you go down the side of the cliffside here. I really wanted to try to show off the underground embedded rock nature, so I think I actually bring in the color for the stones that's surrounding the actual object itself, giving it this internal aspect. All right, rat. This is like, okay, what do I do here, rat? And I said, you know, I'm going to continue this underground aspect, drawing like a little rat hill, like a hole in the main level to go underground to this little rat chamber. And that's why I realized, like, oh, I could have connected all these different passageways. Well, I already sealed off the 3d6. Well, I guess I could draw a tunnel system and have it be connected off camera behind the 3d6. Like, there's like tunnels that aren't obvious or aren't apparent on the map, but they could exist. So you can see there's like little holes that are cut in up, down, left, and right within the rock itself, and they continue on as well too. So this sort of opened up this new opportunity to draw these underground tunnels in the rocks. And I don't know if I'm just getting over ambitious. You know, I have like every biome involved in this map, from a dungeon to underground to grasslands to a desert. So it's we covered a lot in this, and it was fun. Maybe next time I would stick to one area, like, you know, an exterior and an interior location, and have a little rat there, squeak, 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 who's running around in his little rat tunnels as well. So perhaps the players could, you know, shrink themselves down and go through that little rat hole. I forgot to black out the border as well too, so I bring in the marker to round everything off and scatter some details. Rakshasa. This was challenging in that, okay, what do you do here? I guess I was more inspired by, you know, having a Rakshasa's like hidden lair, like their arcane laboratory. Again, getting super ambitious because I wanted to keep that rock motif as well too, so I split the cell in half, and maybe the perspective on this room gets a little squished or diminutive, gets small because I don't have a lot of space to work with. I draw this table, you know, 2 or 3 times, you know, because I wanted like a hidden passageway out to take advantage of these subterranean passageways underneath everything. So I wanted to have like a rug covering, you know, a ladder into the rock level, and maybe this subterranean passage was far too big, and I could have had more space for this Rakshasa's hidden lab. I'm really trying to draw this table. I think I even draw it like a 3rd time when I get to the pen stage. By completing the stairs over there, and, you know, having the other stairs lead down to this doorway, and I draw like this these sigils covering the door and the rug itself, as if they're wards. Maybe there's some secret related to the symbol itself and the Rakshasa. You know, magic tome on a table. Like this is like a arcane study, or this is someone's secret lab or lair. But you can see it's like the walls are kind of really tiny, and the crypt itself is huge compared to this one little room. So I probably could have drew the perspective on it a little bit better. But trying to fit in both the subterranean level and this surface level as well too. But yeah, I probably got a little greedy or got a little over-ambitious. And the objects are related there. I subtly wanted to connect the rug and the door because they have very similar wards or seals or sigils sculpted onto them. Yeah, little fine little details there, and black it off at the end too to continue the border. That was good inspiration. Day 30, Goblin Bomb. So we're kind of rounding out the other side of this crevice here. Drew this like eye symbol that I would imagine is opened, like you could look through it. Maybe the eye wand on that pedestal and this little eye window peers out into the entryway of this door, and well, lo and behold, there's a goblin here who has found another secret passageway and wants to blow open this big metal door into the last room, which we'll get to, the arcane library. But it was fun to, put in this big old barrel of a goblin explosive with a fuse and everything. See, here's the opening, the eye opening there, and then another like a stone could be moved aside for another entryway up. Again, doing the subterranean level took up a lot of space, drawing that in and trying to draw this little kneeling creature goblin down to the bottom here. Inspired by Drawtober, I guess, they're slipping a goblin in all of this. But it's all underground. Drawn in some flagstones and to differentiate the floors of the dungeon versus the grasslands and so on and so forth. Coloring in the Goblin Bomb with my warm gray 4 and giving some color to the rocks now. I think I really refined the underground passageway by giving a better perspective on the back walls and the front wall, the front sort of landing where activity can happen, and then the passageways that lead off into the various directions. Goblin Bomb. Last but not least, the Arcane Library. And since it was at the end, I wasn't gonna totally take the last 2.5 frames, but definitely expanded it out because I wanted to see close off the dungeon itself and connect it back to the balcony-ish area over there. And yeah, I just wanted to make a nice, cool library area, filled with books, and a secret passageway that I would imagine that Brain Eater could have escaped from or have escaped into. It connects probably back to that rupee room. That hole as well too is supposed to be connected to the pit up above. We had like on a ceiling there from Pit Fighters, a big giant 300 hole, and I imagine it could dump into this room as well too. So there's multiple entryways and everything's sort of connected in that way. And adorning the floor of the Arcane Library is the Arcane Library's seal from ShadowDark, the Arcane Library producer, giving nods to that, and kind of tying in with the eye motif too, which is fun. I sort of have been inspired by the Cyclops and our ongoing ShadowDark adventure and the Outpost of Arventa and the world that we're playing in, loosely based off of Curse Scroll 2, which has a lot of like eye motif. So having the Arcane Library's seal involved is fitting. And of course, you can't have an Arcane Library without a big comfy leather chair to sit in and read your tomes in. And then underneath, yep, some more of the passageways that you could perhaps crawl your way through and up into the library itself. I think in one of them, yeah, the furthest on the right there, this little D20 here. Just a nod to the whole RPG nature of all this. I guess it's a tie-in with 3D6 too at the beginning of it all. Then trying to like draw some books, you know, make it voluminous without drawing every book itself too. Having fun with each of those details as well. I think I color a lot of them separately as well. Yep, getting that big fat pink marker, or a pink eraser, and tying off the details of this cliffside. I imagine maybe this big leather chairs looking out a window out into the expanse as well too. I think I drew that hole like 2 or 3 times trying to get the perspective on it right too. I know it's a little goofy. You can like see the ceiling and while you're looking down at the floor, so it's everything's kind of a little twisted and skewed, but that's okay. It's I love the hand-drawn nature of it. You're trying to make that feel like a hole up into the pit fighter hole. That door to the library is super, you know, on edge too. I probably could have drawn that a little bit better as well. But otherwise, yeah, this is the final day, and we were disciplined and doing it every day, and you know, streaming it and recording it, and a little bit behind on editing this. I'm a week out from the actual month of October, but we got it done. And here's the wide shot of the whole expanse, and I'm going to show you a little zoomed in shot of the final digital version. Hey, look at that. I rent the outpost. You can see the whole thing in all of its glory from start to finish. Each one of these things, day in, day out. You can make your whole campaign of adventure with this map. And if you do, I'd love to hear the stories that come from this. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks.